I am not a Souls-like game player. Or at least I wasn't for a very, very long time. I heard about Dark Souls and Elden Ring and many other games, but I didn't think the genre is really for me. That is until a little over a month ago, where I first started playing Elden Ring. You see, I asked about a year ago, enlighten a fellow who never played Elden Ring. I always hear it's so good, but what makes it so good? Can you describe it in the length of a tweet? And I got some replies. The best open world game, I've played a lot of them. Exploration, pretty unrivaled. Something new to find. I'll read a couple of more of these, but it started marinating in my mind, thinking, hey, maybe this game is pretty good. Came out a couple of years ago, I ended up not playing it. I was busy with some other games, but eventually I checked it out. And I want to talk a little bit as I'm somewhat nearing the end of my playthrough, which I've been uploading to my channel at Grubby Plays on YouTube. I want to kind of talk about what the journey has meant for me and what is going to be coming next. So let's talk about it. So we're going to be talking about me starting Elden Ring as I come closer to finishing it, what happened to me as a player while I was playing it, and then I would like to watch some videos about Elden Ring when I'm done, so I can understand the lore a little bit better, and maybe talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing after I finish the whole journey. But first, this is what people said Elden Ring is. It's a fun, challenging adventure with many ways to build your character. If something is too hard, there's always something else you can also do. The exploration and environment are outstanding. I was new to the genre before Elden Ring, and I rarely felt a game was this challenging and rewarding at the same time. Gameplay feels flawless. Visual and sound design are very immersive. Usually listen to music with gaming, but not with Elden Ring. Unlimited freedom about where to go and how to play. It resembles life. It's suffering until you can't no more, and then some more suffering. Eventually, you become immune to suffering and beat the game. This is so real. The most engrossing and beautiful open world RPG I've played. It's mechanically challenging, and its progression systems are simple but deep. It can be confusing and daunting because of its size and lack of hand-holding, but that is part of the charm. Challenging combat system with great art and writing. And music. It's not Dota for starters. I see, I didn't actually like this one. I'm like, yo, what do you have against Dota? I was still playing Dota a lot, so I think I skipped this one when I liked. Like, usually for me is like, I read this and I like this. But mostly it's I read this. But if I don't like it, I actually skip them to let them know that I do not approve of their comment. But you know what? Hell, it's gonna get my like now, okay? It's true. Hey, did someone else just like this too? No, to be fair, I do love Dota 2 as well, even if my journey is very likely at an end with it. Elden Ring takes you on a journey. You just won't stop. The game doesn't get any easier. You just get better. Oh, and millennia. Drooling face? What do you mean? One of the most fun games to explore. Pretty much any build can be viable, and you get the chance to respect skill points a lot of times. Luckily I forgot this, so I didn't know what the whole sweeting thing was. It makes for every cave you find on the map to be worth checking out, and the boss and world design are amazing. Huge world to explore, but unlike in something like Starfield, it's all handcrafted to make it beautiful and interesting. The combat is one of the best of Dark Souls, tactical and interesting. It's mostly tough but fair, and when it's unfair, it's funny. It gives you stories. All really, really true. And a little over a month ago, I had my first Elden Ring experience, my first Souls-like experience, and I made this handsome fella over there. Grubtor became my avatar in the lands of the lands between. And what a guy and what a journey he has been and has gone through. So what do I think of Elden Ring now? I'm not looking back yet. I'm still playing Elden Ring tonight. I was just able to beat Godfrey. If you want to see that, it's going to be on my at Grubby Plays YouTube channel. I haven't beat Millennia yet though. I'm more than 250 fights in. And as you can see here, my death counter was at 0 back then. I figured it might be fun to track it. By now, about 130 hours later, my death count is at 1,478. And I don't think that counter is going to stop counting just yet. So we've had quite a bit of a journey, 1,500 deaths. Is it going to be over 2,000 by the end of it? I don't know. We've defeated Godfrey, but not Millennia yet. But there's still a couple of other quest lines I might like to discover. I've been told about a couple of areas where there might be more things for me to do as I wrap up this part of my first Elden Ring playthrough. Don't know what's gonna happen next. So let's talk a little bit about what Elden Ring was. At the start of this video, I said that I don't really know what Elden Ring is. These kind of games, Mr. Grubby. Well, I'm not blind or deaf, so I've seen people talk about it. I actually don't completely know what the genre of Souls-like is. I don't know if there's level ups,
Yes.
if there's armor equipment, or
Yes.
just you choose a weapon like in Hades. I don't know if there's merchants.
Yep.
I really don't know. I just know that there's big badass bosses and people like the music and the graphics and that you're gonna die a lot. And now I know. And now I know. And I did die a lot. By God, I died a lot. I'm trying to pause where I don't look lame. Alright. So, now I know. So, Elden Ring, right? I started in Limgrave, and it was just learning the mechanics. At first, I had to deal with a lot of people saying I need to be using a controller instead of a keyboard and mouse. You should be using a controller. You should be, and the worse I was playing, which was understandable since I'm entirely new to this genre, and I don't even play a lot of games in my entire life where you could take control of a character. For example, I barely play any FPS games. So the whole perspective is different. I'm used to playing strategy and RTS games where you have an isometric top-down view and you control many different units. So the whole immersive, you are this character and you're watching over their shoulder, that's pretty new for me. And whether I use mouse or keyboard and controller, it was always going to be bad. So natural human instinct for my viewers when they see me play, when I suck, they're like, well, maybe you could change something so you don't suck. But all I could do is become someone else that's better, right? So people keep saying, oh, you gotta use controller, it's the only way to play. Actually, it's not. Keyboard and mouse is fine, and there are many reasons why I wanted to stick with keyboard mouse. I play many different games in one stream, so I don't want to switch equipment all the time. Secondly, I've been a lifetime mouse keyboard user, so I always want to keep using mouse and keyboard. I enjoy these peripherals on a very deep level. I don't want to swap them out unless it's absolutely necessary. I tried with controller and it's no more fitting me like a glove than mouse and keyboard. We're talking about me that has lifetime controller experience, probably under 100 hours in my entire life. And mouse and keyboard, probably over 100,000 hours, right? So I wanted to do it this way, and no matter how much you tell, people still gonna come in and say you need to use controller. But I did realize after about 40 or 80 hours, people stopped saying it because they saw how good I was becoming. No, I'm just kidding. I never became good, but they saw that I was becoming more comfortable with at least controlling and piloting my character in a way that was not incredibly painful to watch. And I think I learned after 10 hours that you could run, so that was nice. After 60 hours, I discovered the crafting system. After 100 hours, I discovered that you have like 20 different attacks that you can do, and not just swinging heavy jump attack or normal weak attacks in a string. So yeah, there was a lot of learning, but let's talk about some of the biggest moments of my Elden Ring playthrough. So first of all, I think the elephant in the room, Margitt. A lot of people told me as I'm fighting him that he's the gatekeeper of skill for new players and returning players alike. I don't know if this Margitt has input reading or not, which is a term I learned about a couple of days ago, but he's tough. He's got a lot of delayed attacks, and as a player new to the genre, he was incredibly fun, but also challenging, difficult, and often frustrating to fight against. I loved the game already by the time I fought Margitt. I was probably level 10 or something, because I pretty much beelined straight through Limgrave to find him before I did so much of the other content. I had never gone south in Limgrave. I didn't complete the Kenneth Height quest. I had not been to Caelid yet. I just pretty much straight went for Margitt. I was low level and it was hard. I came back later after leveling up and it still wasn't good enough. And as far as I'm concerned, 50 deaths in a row was an insane amount of dedication that I already put into the fight. So I eventually ended up using a summon. Apparently a cardinal sin in the Souls-like fan and viewer community. And I'll have a bit more to say about that later. But I used Roger and won at the first try with Roger. It felt a lot easier. But the alternative was quitting the game. I was so frustrated with the fight, and while I loved the game, I didn't love the game enough to suffer in purgatory forever fighting a boss that I did not feel I had the skill for. I didn't think I'll ever have the skill to beat Margitt and get past this area, which seemed to be lacking a lot of content behind it and was part of the natural progression. I didn't feel like it's fun enough to grind experience and runes and levels in lesser areas after I discovered Margitt to really feel like I wanted to spend the rest of my time trying to get like 20, 30, 40 levels, put some pounds on so I could finally beat Margitt. So I used the summon also because I principally believe that we choose our own difficulty levels. And I wasn't sure how much the summon was going to help, as I had not used a summon yet, as far as I remember. And I wanted to see the content. Keep in mind, I'm new to the game. You've got a lot of jaded or expert or gatekeeping viewers that, maybe not jaded, but a lot of passionate viewers that have watched multiple playthroughs of other people discovering the game. They already know everything that I know now, and much more still, right? So they know that the true Iron Man way to win a fight is without a summon and without help. But I don't even know what it looks like. I want to see that content. I purchased this game, even as a non-streamer, I purchased this game. As a gamer, I want to see the mechanics. I don't see Ashes of War and think, oh, that's something that shouldn't be used. That's something that is going to drop respect of viewers when I use it. Or that's something that's going to stifle my joy of playing the game when I use it. That's not a natural way to think about games, boys. I mean, Warcraft 3 has a campaign with easy, normal, and difficulty. Do I ever think, no, I don't think easy difficulty should exist. I'm gonna pick insane difficulty because I'm an RTS bread and butter gamer, right? Like, of course I'm gonna play the hardest. Oh my god, it's still so easy. And then I see someone else picking up the game, and I'm gonna be like, I better hope you didn't pick easy. And they're like, yeah, I pick easy. I'm new to RTS. Oh, it's like easy. That's no way to play the game. I bet you use defensive towers too. No, towers are for noobs. Don't use towers. You should use your multitasking ability to move and split your army to defend everything appropriately. This is unheard of. This is beyond all boundaries. It doesn't make any sense, right? So, having said that, I'm still kind of a hardcore gamer, even though I went at this journey very much as a casual player. So I did feel like winning the first time with the summon took away part of my, my own conquest over Margitt, winning that way. But I wasn't gonna give people the satisfaction of letting them know that. And again, I was ready to call it quits almost and stop playing, which would be a great shame because of everything that happened afterwards. So we got past Margitt, Stormville Castle and all that. And then many cool moments along the way. And eventually, and I wasn't sure if I was going to finish the game. My view on Elden Ring was similar to when I started with Dota 2, similar to when I did many of the Sub-Sunday games that I've gotten into, such as Faster Than Light, Slay the Spire, Inscription. So many awesome games out there that come highly recommended from chat that I've had a lot of fun with, but I'm never sure whether I should commit to finishing them. In the past, I started playing Baldur's Gate and I've got over 100 hours in it, but I ended up not finishing it because, partially as a gamer and as a streamer, you're kind of balancing the interest of are your channels doing well or well enough? Is this still sustainable for viewership? Is this as fun of a game to watch as it is to play? Because Baldur's Gate 3 is an amazing game and I enjoyed it so much. But interest was dropping. And it's not even because people hated to watch it, though it did start to lose its luster along the way for some people. But there was a lot of people that didn't want to watch because they didn't want to get spoiled to the game. Because I played it when it got released. Whereas Elden Ring now is a seasoned 2 years after its release. And it's right before the DLC, so it was actually kind of a lucky timing to start playing Elden Ring. But anyway, I never finished Baldur's Gate 3, and maybe one day I will. It's gonna have to be a combination of my own authentic interest, as well as the interest of my viewers. If both aren't true, then I can't really commit to finishing a game. at least not on stream. And the same thing for Divinity Original Sin. So I, and a running joke among my community, we thought of me as not a game finisher, which is also slightly less attractive for people that do like to see a full Let's Play playthrough and to see where the journey ends, and so on and so on. So I didn't know whether I'm gonna finish Elden Ring. I figured I'm just gonna try it. I put a couple of games in a pool and I let my viewers vote for what they wanted to see. I think it was Balatro, Elden Ring, and like 3 others. And I thought maybe Elden Ring will win, but maybe it's another one that's gonna win. But Elden Ring pretty much crushed it, and viewership and my personal interest have maintained throughout the entire journey that now spans over 130 hours. So it's been great, and I'm gonna finish it, which is gonna be kind of a milestone and a hallmark in my career as a variety game streamer. So, and here was my philosophy for playing Elden Ring as I realized I'm gonna be playing it for more, but also very much at the start of it. You see, there are many different types of streamers. You can be a streamer that plays up the drama and the rage baits. You can be a streamer that functions very educationally. So for instance, you're good at a game, other people love playing that game, they come to see how you play it, and then they learn from you how to play the game, which enhances their own enjoyment of the game because they pick up tips and tricks. Very common archetype of streamer, and I am that streamer sometimes. Then there is the type of like just raw entertainment, right? It's zany, or it's fun, or it's interesting, or it's high level, it's entertainment. There's like background streamers, right? People that are great to put on the background or in the living room that are probably not gonna drop, you know, bad words in as you're listening, and there's family around and everything. It's just good to have a buddy when you're doing your own work, and it's on the second screen, and it's like great white noise or brown noise or whatever, right? So there's all kinds of different streamers. I'm used to being the expert as a streamer in Warcraft 3 and in StarCraft 2, which means people's backseating is usually unnecessary and wrong. And it means that their expert advice is not that useful for me usually, but I have to find a way to patiently explain them why rushing for chimeras and hippogriff riders is not the best strategy in Warcraft 3 against Orc, right? And I have to find that patience, that inner peace, to hear that question for 100 times and to always respect the viewer enough to answer it in a level way. But it's a very different dynamic in Elden Ring. Obviously, I'm going into it, there's a million experts in chat, and I'm going into it blind. And so I can either min-max, right? I can look up guides, I can go to the wikis, I can ask chat for feedback on optimized builds, or I make a very clear decision, and spoiler alert, this is what I did, to go in blind and stupid. So I don't watch any Elden Ring streams, I don't watch any Elden Ring videos. I don't ask anyone for tips. I try not to read anything in chat that spoils any part of the game, lore, mechanic, and so on. And I gotta give a huge shout out here to the moderators here on the Twitch channel that have been a huge part, that have actually made this possible. Without them, it literally wouldn't have been possible to enjoy the game this way for me and for the viewers as well. Ruigen Geist, Knight Sanctorum, Ellis Lass. Now I'm kind of actually stressed that I'm gonna forget one. Excalibur. There's more. Darkest Demon. There's more. Askeladd. I should have written a list. But yeah, there have been a lot of mods that have been helping out with taking out spoiler content and trying to educate chat. And of course, we've had it in titles, no spoilers, no backseating. But it's oh my god, like people just don't know. They just don't care, right? Even if I had it on my forehead in mirror, because actually this is my right hand and this is my left hand. If I wrote no spoilers on my forehead, people would still spoil because they don't care, or they think they're frustrated that I'm not understanding something, or I'm missing the legendary bow in the chest. So that, yeah, I know. No backseating. I know. Okay, no spoilers. But can I just say, if you turn left here, you will find this legendary bow. Please, my backseating though. So it was quite challenging at times to stay dumb, and the reason I'm doing it is for 2 reasons. Actually, it's 2 months ago, 24 March. Oh, it's 2 months ago, not 1 month. that knows how to dodge against it by doing like this, like this, like that. So all in all, I don't know how to avoid the forbidden knowledge. It's like there's a bunch of monkeys, that's the Backseaters, in the trees of the Garden of Eden throwing apples at me. Like, I've chosen not to look up the forbidden fruit. I've chosen not to touch the apple. Oh, you don't have the right. You don't have to. But there's all the monkeys like, oh! They're trying to throw apples in my mouth, right? They're trying to, and I'm like, no, I don't want. I don't want. You just ignore it. You try just ignoring it. When there's a wave of chat that highlights your name, that shows the chat highlighted. It's like, here, Grubby. Like, as a streamer, you're like, no, no. Don't give me the forbidden knowledge. Don't tempt me, Frodo. You don't want to see it, but you see it anyway. So that's why the mods need to help with that, because I can't self-filter. Like, if I tell you pink elephant, there's no way you can't think about it, right? Just don't read it. So it's better for me when I'm going in blind and I can appreciate Elden Ring like it was intended to be appreciated by the creators. That's going to create the most magical journey. And that's what Elden Ring deserves, that's what I deserve, and that is what all the viewers who watch me deserve, because the type of journey that I'm tabling for Elden Ring is a true authentic journey of a noob learning the game for the first time. The moment I start min-maxing and I take the ultimate weapon and the ultimate approach, the magic is gone, right? So all of this was to preserve the magic, and that's what some Backseaters don't get or don't care, is because we're trying to preserve the magic, and I'm very thankful that it was preserved. 99.99% not spoiled. Every now and then you see one or two game mechanics. And sometimes chat has to remind me of something I forgot. I assure you, my memory isn't the best in the world. But if you have thousands of impulses per stream, lots of messages, the game is telling you lore, the game is telling you mechanics, chat is telling you things, constantly you're monitoring everything, you don't have as much memory storage capacity as an average person just sitting in front of the computer playing the game without any of those impulses. Trust me on that. So occasionally you'll miss some things, and overall the magic of the journey was very preserved, which is awesome, right? I started learning the difficulty of Elden Ring. I learned how to improve at some things. I started learning how. Oh my god, what am I doing? Anyway, I learned a lot since this moment, right? And I don't know why. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. So as I played and as I met different bosses and tried different weapons, I started learning how FromSoft builds their games. I never played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, so I didn't know you don't have the right doors, what they were. They're shortcuts to meet a certain boss more streamlinedly from a waypoint you already have, from a grace you already have. After you've gotten to a part in the dungeon, you can open the door from the other side. Now you can have a shortcut next time you die, right? Or to bring a lift back down after you go up, so that the next time you die, you don't have to click the lever. Like, it's quicker and easier to do it that way. So all these things we pick up along the way. But one thing I didn't really learn is how to do good fighting. I picked up a very cool set from Radahn, who I did take out with the help of all the allies that you can step on in the Field of Blood and on the battlefield of Caelid, right, in the southeast. When I got Radahn's swords, I fell in love. Those great swords with the screaming, the Star Scourge swords, so much fun to use. I've always liked big weapons in games like this. You get the double black swords. I managed to level them up to level 9 very early on, so they created a huge power spike. And very thankfully, Elden Ring does not have level scaling, so when you actually get powerful weaponry, you actually suddenly just dumpster easy areas. And I love that, because you can choose your own challenge, right? Like, if you don't like it being easy, you can just equip a level 1 item or go full pugilism style. And that's what I love. I don't really like level scaling in RPG games much at all. I like being able to dumpster areas that used to be extremely difficult. Not only is my skill growing, but also my equipment is growing. Oh, don't kill Vara! No! Don't do it! It's too late. It's too late. This is in the past. He's gonna do it. He's gonna kill Vara. Here I was still in my murder hobo mindset, because that's what I like to do in RPG games. It's because I like RPG games, but I like the sense of freedom, can do anything you want, can kill NPCs, rob their equipment. I think that's funny sometimes, right? The merchant is worth more to me dead. But I really changed my mind on that. As I saw the depth and the story that Elden Ring has, I no longer had the temptation. The first 10 NPCs I met, I had to suppress the temptation to kill them after killing Vare. But then afterwards, I really just didn't want to do it anymore, which is awesome. Right? I had changed as a player. I have actually learned to appreciate Elden Ring. I've learned to love it because initially I didn't know how to play these type of games. So let's wrap it up a bit, and we'll talk about something very recent. Recently, I have had over 250 deaths against Millennia, and I still haven't beaten her. And then I started fighting Malekith and some Deathrite bird, and I fought Godfrey, and I just defeated Godfrey last night. It was awesome. Godfrey by now is my favorite fight of all. It is challenging, it is fair, it feels unfair, but then you realize actually it's fair as you ascend and you realize you start to dodge moves that you couldn't dodge yesterday. And then tomorrow you're dodging even more moves. Initially, I'm dying to phase 1 95% of the time. Eventually, I'm getting to phase 2 95% of the time. I'm almost not getting hit in phase 1 anymore, which is an awesome discovery and an awesome growth as a player. And I also switched from Radahn's greatswords to the spiky fists, which made me realize that I've never really played Elden Ring at all yet. The greatswords are so slow and cumbersome, as funny as they are, that you cannot really dodge in windows where the spiky ball fists can dodge. So I had never learned the delicate dance and step of fighting a boss where you're dodging in all the right windows and then sneaking one hit in. No, I was just brute forcing the fight, using armor, healing flasks, and repetition, waiting to get lucky. And then eventually I would get past the fight, but I didn't really earn it in the way that I didn't really figure out the fight mechanics. I was just high enough level. I was high enough level, and I was... Can we skip this part? Okay, no, never mind. It's fine. It already happened. So, eventually, I managed to beat Godfrey. This actually hurts to see now with what I know. Eventually, I managed to beat Godfrey while dodging almost all of his attacks. I managed to get to phase 2 without using any flasks, etc., etc., etc. So, by far my favorite fight so far, also because I evolved as a player finally. And while I still have much to learn, and it still took me a long time to get here, it was really satisfying to learn how to play that fight. And after it, I actually realized Millennia is also not impossible. As much as the waterfowl dance kind of feels like BS, I'm dodging more of it than before, and the pre-waterfowl moment, I'm not taking nearly as many hits. So, very interesting. Everything they said on Twitter is true. It's about suffering, and then eventually you learn more, and you start realizing that what felt unfair actually is doable. So, really love the game. What is next? After I finish the game, I would like to explore the lore. I have made my own assessments of what the story of Elden Ring is. Oh, my health pool was so small. I have tried to figure out what the story is of Elden Ring, and I think it is not very accurate. You see, the game doesn't tell you everything immediately at the start. It drops little lore nuggets. By the way, amazing story and feeling of the world. I just love it. And you don't know the whole story right away. Compare the story writing of Warcraft 3 and the campaign of Warcraft 3. The stilted, awkwardly delayed dialogue lines with the kind of basic common denominator type of writing, level of writing. Compare that to like the world of Elden Ring, that in true George R.R. Martin, quality, and I know he's not the only writer, just feels like the world is larger than it will ever let you know. Everything that you learn is not immediately relevant and tied into some plot point. It just feels like a yeah, a very interesting world that never shows you everything it has, and that makes it feel extremely rich, and I love it. I would like to explore some lore. There's apparently a YouTube channel called Vati, or Vati Vidya. After I finish the game, I can look at some of those videos. I'd love to look at them and, you know, upload my reaction to those here on this channel on YouTube and do it on Twitch. Maybe I can watch some speedruns, you know, watch some other boss fights. Because by now, I won't be a first-timer anymore. So it's going to be more okay to learn more about the game. I cannot protect myself against spoilers forever. And that very first playthrough has been magically protected with... and I gotta call out as well, many chatters do understand the assignment. Many chatters did understand not to spoil and backseat and ruin, etc. The few that do, well, the many that do, are still outnumbered by the many that do understand the assignment. So, not to throw everyone on one lump, I know that's an unsung story, an unsung hero, but many of you have understood that. And we are almost at the end of that first magical playthrough journey, though I'm still going to explore some areas. And then we'll watch some speedruns in Vati, etc. So what are going to be the next games after finishing Elden Ring? Well, the DLC for sure, though I haven't figured out yet if I'll do it on release day or later. There's a couple of reasons for that, but most as a person and as a player, I want to play it as it comes out. As a streamer, there's two reasons not to do it. One, I'll be competing with bigger streamers at the same time. Maybe some of you guys prefer me, but maybe some of you guys prefer someone else. That's totally fine. There's some competition. Number two is many of you will not want to be spoiled on the game via my stream or anyone else's stream. And you're going to be actively avoiding people that play Elden Ring DLC probably for about a month or two. And that means that I cannot have the benefit of your company while I'm discovering and playing the game myself. And that means that I'm making your life worse because you cannot have me on your second screen playing Warcraft 3 or Slay the Spire, whatever. You're playing Elden Ring later tonight, but you're working right now, but you got me on and you can't because I'm doing Warcraft 3. But if I'm doing Elden Ring, you gotta actively avoid me. Now you don't have my stream, maybe you're used to it on a very regular basis. You have to avoid me now. That's one. Number two is I'll have a lot fewer viewers that are interested in it because you are avoiding watching the Elden Ring DLC content on my channel or anyone else's. And everyone else is doing it at the same time, so I'm not offering unique content, except my own personal unique brand of playing Elden Ring, I suppose, right? So there's a couple of reasons to delay my DLC playthrough as a streamer. And then the advantage of playing it as a streamer on day one is the hype train, right? Maybe it's very searchable on Twitch or YouTube, the hype train people are going to be looking up. Because I'm not an expert, I'm not someone to consult on how to optimize your playthrough. Most likely people are watching more for the hype of watching a speedrunner or someone that's showing guides and solving, because, and I don't look down on this, there's many viewers and players that want to watch how to beat a boss fight because they can't. And then they watch a pro do it, and then they learn from that. And that does not cheapen your journey. It does not cheapen your experience for having looked it up. That's a choice. You're allowed to make that choice. So that is kind of like what I'm thinking about, which is why I'm not sure. And do let me know your comments, what you think about it, whether you want to see me play it on day one or maybe 2 or 5 months later. Let me know. I do read your feedback and it greatly factors into my decision making. But that's my thoughts for now. So then there's some other choices as well. I've heard great recommendations for Monster Hunter World, Lies of Pi, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, but 2 sounds jank from what I heard. 1 is too old. I might not like it. Maybe Dark Souls 3 is an option, right? Maybe I'll explore some other genres for a bit. After all, if I fall in love with Monster Hunter World, Lies of Pi, or Dark Souls 3, that's another 100 to 200 hours commitment, which means everything else makes way, which means variety is dead once again. And variety was so much fun. Of course, so are these journeys, but, you know, in terms of adding a variety of different content for the palette of YouTube or Twitch, it dies, right? That's how Dota killed variety. And of course, that is destined to happen again and again when we find a game that's really good. But I could delay that decision for a bit. So I don't know what's going to be next. Sekiro, right? But I could also discover some other games that I've been wanting to play. Monster Train, Balatro, And more, and more. I've got a list of games I want to be trying out. Some of those have released, and some of those have not yet released. So that's it. That is what's going to be next on my channel on @GrubbyPlays. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with Elden Ring and with my games. I'll continue to play Warcraft 3 quite regularly, and also Slay the Spire greatly holds my interest right now, and I'll be playing that quite a bit indeed. So let's finish our Elden Ring journey at some point. I'm going to be discovering some other areas like Volcano Manor, and some other areas that I haven't fully explored yet, because I don't know if or when I'll ever do a New Game Plus. It's always possible, but maybe not immediately now. And so it can be nice to check out some areas I haven't been to before. Godfrey is defeated. I have not yet gone through the arches of the tree, the burnt tree briar. And so it's Malenia first. Malenia. It's Malenia first, then maybe Volcano Manor, and then maybe do some other areas. As I'm getting closer to the end, I'm gonna allow mods and or chatters to softly guide me to some areas that I haven't been yet, and we'll figure that out during the Elden Ring stream. So that is where we're at now. That's what's coming in the future. Do let me know your thoughts on all of this, and I'll be reading the comments, and it may influence my decision making about what's going to be happening next. Hope you enjoyed this little retrospective. The journey isn't over yet. Catch me on Twitch to see the rest of my Elden Ring playthrough, or on my YouTube channel, Grubby Plays. Thanks for watching. See you next.